For having me back. And welcome and thank you for joining, especially on July 4th week. And happy pre-July 4th to everybody. Hope everyone has a great week and weekend. Hopefully spend time with your families. I am Kirk Smallwood, VP of Industry Engagement and Key Accounts with CompTIA. And let's go over the agenda here. I got a lot to cover, although it doesn't look like a lot just with 4 bullets, but there's a lot in each one. And so I want to make sure I get through in a prompt manner so I can also answer any questions that you might have at the end as well. But we're going to refresh you a little bit about CompTIA, who we are, what we do, some research on the state of the tech industry. We just released our new report, The State of the Tech Workforce, and want to share some of that data. Going to go through our certifications, our pathways, and content. And then I'm saving, I think, the best for last, which is our brand new career exploration site and our salary calculator tools. I think you'll find them really powerful and hopefully things that you want to share and use. And, we'd love your feedback on that as well. So let's get going. So CompTIA, who are we? What do we do? So we are a global not-for-profit IT association. We've been around since about 1982. And we used to be called the ABCD, Association of Better Computer Dealers, which was truly a pretty awful name. Thank goodness we changed it to CompTIA not too long after that. But we do a lot of stuff on behalf of the industry. First of all, we're a member association. So we have communities and councils and advisory groups and events where we can help them gather. And they really share with us what's going on in the industry. They share with us their challenges, their initiatives. What do they see as the biggest obstacles they need to help that we need to help solve together to help them overcome in their neck of the woods, whether it's advancing women in IT or cybersecurity or what have you. Our members are very important to us, and so we do a lot to help them. One of those things is education. So we do a lot of education for them. Many of the members that we have are small to medium-sized solution providers. They need a lot of help in running their business day to day. They might be really technically savvy, but they may not be completely up to speed on the best ways to run their business and hiring practices and HR management, things like that. So we provide a lot of great resources for them to utilize. Another thing we provide to them, and really the rest of the industry, is thought leadership. We do fantastic research that some of which I'm going to share with you today, but there's a lot more where that came from. We're looking at trends. We're looking at hiring practices. We're looking at what are the tech jobs postings looking like these days, month to month, especially. Certification is what we're most well known for, probably around the world. We'll talk more about that in a second. Advocacy, we are for anything that's going to help provide more IT opportunities, IT jobs for people. We feel like there's a ton of opportunity in the tech industry, which there is, and we are lending our name and efforts to help policies that may help build that workforce. And then philanthropy, we have a great foundation called CompTIA Spark that works specifically with middle schoolers, both in school and out of school, with programs that are designed to get them engaged and excited and aware of IT and tech industry in really fun, engaging ways. So that's a great program as well, CompTIA Spark. So our certifications, we are the #1 vendor neutral IT certifying body in the world. We're #2 just overall, just behind Microsoft. Very proud. Last year, we were the #1 mentioned organization in tech job postings. In other words, people looking for our certifications within their tech job postings in terms of people applying. So we're very proud of that as well. Since we launched our first certification back in 93, I think it was, we've awarded more than 3.5 million certifications worldwide in more than 230 countries. And with our recent acquisition of TestOut, we now have more than 500 employees, which is amazing. I think when I first started 15 years ago, we had about a little over 100, like 120 or so. So we've just grown exponentially, which is awesome. We work with all kinds of different organizations, ranging from secondary to post-secondary schools to enterprise to government, folks that are either training students or training their employees. But we also work with them closely to understand what's going on in their space. What are they hearing and seeing out there? What are they hearing from their employees? What are their hiring practices? We get a lot of great intelligence from them. And a lot of it helps guide us as to other products or resources that we create, some of which you'll see today. So let's see here. Yeah, let's go into some research here. So here's some snippets from the State of the Tech Industry report that we released recently. So right now, there are 44 million people out there in the US workforce that are career intent, meaning they are actively looking to change jobs. That's a big chunk of people. They're not happy with their jobs. They want more mobility. They want more salary. They want more opportunity for advancement, whatever it is. They're looking to change jobs. We've got 13 million people that are currently in the tech workforce or intending to go into the tech workforce, but we want to grab as many of those career intent as possible. But there's some challenges around that because there's what we call a confidence gap when it comes to the tech industry. So 6 out of 10 people feel that tech would be a tough industry for them to work in because they think, well, I've got to be great at science and math, or I've got to have a 4-year degree, or I need to do coding or some type of a coding job, or I need to work for a tech company. And really, none of these are true. I mean, depending on how far you go in tech, you may need a 4-year degree, but certainly you don't need a 4-year degree to break into it. And so we're trying to overcome these misconceptions about tech careers that a lot of people hold. And it stinks because they just don't even consider tech because they have these assumptions about what they are. And then on the other side, you also have the conundrum of you have employers that are doing the job postings and they're actually many times over-speccing for the job. In other words, they're saying, well, for this entry-level job, we want, a bunch of experience or a 4-year degree or whatever. And it's way more than actually what's necessary. So you have this is also turning people away because they're saying, well, I don't have a 4-year degree. I don't have, 5 years of experience doing X. And so they don't even apply. And then the same companies that are doing the overspecking are saying, well, we're having a hard time finding workers. It's like, well, you're part of the problem, unfortunately. Not in all cases, but in many cases they are. So it's trying to educate also the employers that they need to spec their jobs correctly in terms of their job postings. The good news is that median tech wages continue to be higher than national averages of other non-tech jobs, 130% higher. That's awesome. We seeing that has been a continuing trend. We also see 2024 as another increase in net tech employment, with adding another 300,000 tech jobs throughout the year. We anticipate. You see headlines of layoffs and all kinds of bad news at times with tech workers. But the truth is, I mean, there are ebbs and flows, of course, but those tech workers that are let go are getting hired really quickly. And many of the ones that are let go are not actually tech workers. They may be workers for a tech company. They may be in sales. They may be consultants. But many of the tech workers that are being laid off are getting hired back really quickly, as evident by super low tech employment. It's like in the 2s right now, ridiculously low, lower than regular unemployment. So we continue to have a lot of confidence that we will see increases in the net tech employment. Now, we also predict, not just for this year, but for the next 10 years, a continued growth in the need for tech workers. And that arises from retirements, but also from just organic growth, the need for more tech workers. What is nice to see is even for, if you look at the very bottom, IT support specialists, that's a very long time existing role and one that's very common and one that's a stepping stone to other IT jobs. But you're seeing tremendous growth projections relative to the national rate of jobs, of just regular jobs, even for roles like that, because it is a great stepping stone and a great entry level point to tech careers. So obviously data, cybersecurity, almost always at the top of the list. I think at some point we'll see AI jump way up there once we figure out kind of what those specific job roles are in those. That's still a lot of information we have to figure out about those. But overall, like really good stuff. Just to note, I mean, the demand for cybersecurity, as you can imagine, continues to be huge. 575,000 cybersecurity jobs in the U.S. alone, and we're only filling about 315,000 of them right now. Still a huge gap in cybersecurity workers, and everywhere. And it's not just in the big cities like New York or Miami or Los Angeles, what have you. You're seeing more of these demand over in rural areas, especially where there's databases popping up. There's really demand everywhere. So you're seeing it in also rural areas all around the US, which is also great. So AI, I just mentioned before, you're seeing a lot. We're hearing about it everywhere, every day. You can't look at the news without seeing something about AI or how it's affecting the stock market or what have you. And we are seeing within businesses a positive correlation with AI use within their businesses. So again, still a lot of figuring out about what are the specific AI job roles. We know that most jobs will end up using AI in some form or fashion, no matter what the job is, tech or not. You're going to eventually be using AI to do your job. But what are those specific jobs? And that's still being kind of figured out. But most companies are seeing some use of AI. Like, for example, at CompTIA, we have a Chat GPT license, and we're not required to use it. But every day you see one of our employees share a cool way in which they used AI to help make their job easier to navigate or easier to use or to find information quicker or to write something faster or give them ideas. It's really, really cool. And you can just kind of see the potential there, but there's still a long way to go. But the good news is that organizations are seeing that it is being used and it will be used more. And then the other thing we're hearing a ton from HR professionals is the need for digital literacy and digital skills. So this doesn't just mean for IT workers. This also means for pretty much anyone in any job. Digital skills are going to be required almost no matter what you do. There's going to be very few jobs that eventually don't need digital skills, like working in databases or using AI, as I mentioned before, or even just basic things like Microsoft Office, things like that. You are going to see, I think, that number continue to increase. So 7 out of 10 are reporting a greater importance for building digital fluency and digital skills. Some of those skills might be, again, like cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is huge always, no matter what you do, because the number one cause of cyber breaches is human error. That continues to be human error. I think it's like 52%, 53%. So cybersecurity awareness and how to effectively manage that is huge. AI, again, everyone's going to need to know how to use that to some degree, no matter what job you have, because it can help you in your job. And if you're not learning how to use it, there's probably going to be somebody that does know how to use it that's possibly going to take your job because you don't know how to use it, and they can do their job more effectively. Data and analytics, of course, data is everywhere. How to use basic devices and applications. All these are key skills that our HR directors and people doing the hiring are reporting that they need. And then the nice thing is training budgets are going up in terms of what HR hiring people are expecting to spend for training in the year ahead. You're seeing an increase or at least a consistent amount of training for the vast majority of companies because they need to keep up with skills. They're taking a more skills first approach. It's way easier to upskill your current employees than go find somebody out there. It takes more time and money to recruit somebody. It's a lot easier to just train up your current employees. And so the nice thing is you're seeing an increase in that for most people. The 12% that are saying they're going to decrease, I question whether they will be around as a company much longer. Honestly, I don't know how you can actually decrease training and still be an effective company and represent your company well. They're also, a nice thing is HR professionals are increasingly reliant on technical certifications when doing the hiring process. Why? Because they align the ones that are worth their salt, like ours and other industry recognized certifications. They align to specific job roles and skills. They're more up to date than four-year degrees. Four-year degrees are more slow to change their programs to keep up with technology and what's happening out there. Unlike certifications, which like ours, we have to refresh every 3 years. It's just an easier time saver for them to see this on a resume and know that if this person has this industry recognized certification, they can do the job and probably better than somebody that doesn't have that certification. So it's nice to see that certifications are becoming more and more important out there. So let's talk about certifications. CompTIA, again, we're the largest vendor neutral IT certifying body in the world. How do we get to that point? Why are we so trusted? The main reason is because I like to say our certs are created by the industry for the industry. We work directly with the industry to tell us what's happening in the job market out there. Is there some job that we need to be able to validate using a certification? And what are the knowledge, skills, and abilities that person needs to have to do this specific job? So we work directly with them. We do a lot of research to find out, is it worth our time to build a certification around this? And if we find the answer is yes, then we bring in subject matter experts from the worldwide to help us and literally write the exam, determine the objectives, write the questions, determine what the correct answers are. And that's how we create our certifications. And so it literally is like a seal of approval from the industry because they help tell us this is what the job is and this is what people need to know how to do. So that's why our certifications are so popular. They continue to be, and we'll keep doing things the way we do them because they've been very successful in helping preparing people for job roles. If you look at our overall certifications, kind of going from left to right, you have, and I'm going to get into more detail about this, but you have kind of our core certifications like Tech Plus, which is the new name of ITF, IT Fundamentals, and then A Plus, Net Plus, Security Plus are really our core certifications that make up the pathways for cybersecurity and infrastructure. So the backbone of A Plus, Net Plus, Security Plus really is a great core for the rest of the pathways that we have. And then our newest pathway is data and analytics. Obviously, we're very high on data. There's a ton of jobs out there asking for data skills. I believe in 2023, there's over 250,000 job postings alone that just ask for like data analytics type of skills. And so that's going to continue to grow for sure. So let's dive into each of these a little bit more. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on each one of these, but just give you a little bit of a flavor. So again, Tech Plus is one of our few non-job ready certs, I would say. In other words, if you put, oh, I have Tech Plus on my resume, you're not going to get a job offer from that. But it's a great certification for providing background for students or people who are changing careers or people who are in tech-based organizations that should know a little bit about tech, even if they're not doing it. So basic skills and competencies around terminology and applications and infrastructure, security, all types of fundamentals. Kind of think of like it's an inch deep and a mile wide of information around tech. And we hope this will help light the spark for people to think about tech as a career. We hope this kind of wets their whistle a little bit and gets them thinking about tech as a career. We push this really hard in high schools, especially because it's great for digital literacy and really something that everyone will have, and it's something that you can really use. A Plus is our first certification that we ever created. It is the certification for entry-level tech help desk and support jobs. It's a two-part exam. Really, it's amazing. As long as it's been around, it's still relevant because we've done a great job of keeping it relevant to what's currently happening out there. So before it was just basically hardware on one part, software on the other. But now you've got more as more things are in the cloud and there's less hardware repair and more troubleshooting. There's a lot more troubleshooting. You now have mobile devices everywhere. You've got networking. And then on the operating system side, much more security than we used to have, a lot of troubleshooting, operational procedures, but this is the entry-level cert for tech jobs. It's a great stepping stone, and this is something you can have on your resume, and you can get a job from this. Network Plus is our core networking certification. It's great for networking fundamentals, troubleshooting, implementations. You can see some of the Network Plus job roles. Network Plus is one of the most commonly held certifications by tech pros in the US. There were more than 38,000 job postings over a year period that were looking for higher Network Plus professionals. So Network Plus, you combine that. So A Plus, kind of the hardware and the software. Network is the fundamentals of the network, of configuring and putting that together. And then Security Plus, which has actually become our most popular cert. Probably no surprise there because it is the most requested security cert in most job postings. General security concepts, threats and vulnerabilities and mitigations and security architecture. You see some of the different job roles. But again, this has become, this has leapfrogged A Plus, even though A Plus had a big head start, as our most popular certification because security is everywhere, right? You need people that can secure, that have basic security fundamentals. Then when you jump into the cybersecurity pathway, I'll just emphasize too, though, just because we have a cybersecurity pathway, it doesn't mean that security is not in basically all of our certifications. With everything, security is incredibly important, as you can imagine. So if you look at the percent of objectives within our different certifications that are covering security, at minimum 33%, and that's for IT fundamentals. That's not a job ready cert, but we obviously cover basic security concepts. But on most of the rest of them, at least 50% have key security objectives covering there. So that's That's not by accident. There's more and more fraud happening all the time. There's more and more advanced level threats. There's more people doing the threats. It just keeps growing and growing and getting more complex. And so security is everywhere. Cybersecurity analyst was created really based on the really famous Target hack back in 2013, where these things called advanced persistent threats we became aware of. We had no idea what these things were. These things were just hidden in the system, and you had to know what to look for and where to look for them in order to find them. Firewalls and malware and things like that, they weren't going to protect anything against these. And so the cybersecurity analyst job for a while was the fastest growing job in the US. Not fastest growing IT job, but fastest growing job in the US. It still continues to be one of the fastest job categories. But this is a really important cert for us. This is like our first certification that expanded our certification pathway into a little bit like a more intermediate level. And then kind of on the flip side of cybersecurity analysts is pen tests. So this is ethically penetrating. And so you're coming at it from kind of an attack mode to see where the vulnerabilities are within the system or within the hardware. So this is important as well. So if you have both cybersecurity analyst and pen test, they kind of really sit on the same plane, but it gives you a really good background because one is defending, the other one is attacking, but coming at it from both ends to really understand where to find these vulnerabilities. You can see the different types of pen test job roles that are out there. Again, this is a really popular cert of ours. And then our most advanced security cert, it's actually going to be rebranded to Security X. X is an expert, but currently it's called CASP Plus or Advanced Security Practitioner. This is a very high level cert. You're talking about more senior people that are using this cert, but there actually are practitioners. So these are not just like managers that are just, telling people what to do. These are people actually doing the job. So advanced, senior security engineers and SOC managers and InfoSec specialists and cyber risk analysts. Those are some of the top CASP job roles. This particular certification, the Department of Defense came to us and said, there's not really anything out there that's mapping to this space, this specific knowledge, skills, and abilities that we need. And so we created CASP on their urging, and it turned out to be a really good move for us. If the Department of Defense is asking for us, pretty good chance that others are going to need it as well. If you then look at the infrastructure pathway, you get into things like Server Plus, so server administration and troubleshooting, security and disaster recovery. We have a lot of organizations that use Server Plus. Interesting, Microsoft. So Microsoft has a big data center program, Data Center Academy, where they work with lots of community colleges around that are close to all their data centers around the world. And they require those folks that are Microsoft Data Center Academies to get Server Plus because they believe in it. And you may think, well, why would Microsoft recommend something other than their own? Because again, we worked with the industry to create our certifications, and they create a great stepping stone to vendor-specific certifications like a Microsoft. So when you get to the specific products of a Microsoft, that's great. Their certifications are awesome. But not everything is a Microsoft product. And in fact, their data security, their data program is designed to get people into data jobs or server data center jobs of all companies. Could be Amazon, could be Facebook, could be anybody. They don't necessarily care. They do it as a means to uplift the industry as a whole. And then Linux Plus. Linux, you could argue Linux, and I have some colleagues that argue that Linux should also be one of our core certifications because Linux is basically everywhere. It's hard to argue with that. It really is. So Linux is one of our more popular certs as well. You can see the different job roles there, system management, troubleshooting, security, etc. A lot of organizations well known that use Linux Plus as well. The Department of Defense, by the way, mandates, I think, 7 or 8 of our certifications. So they're one of our biggest customers, obviously. Cloud Plus, of course, cloud is everywhere. The ability to secure it, cloud architecture and design, deployment, operations and support. Again, cloud is everywhere, just like Linux. So the need for these jobs, the knowledge, skills, and abilities for these jobs is really important to have. That's what Cloud Plus does. So our newest pathway, again, is Data. So Data Plus was our first certification in this pathway that we released around people that can gather the data, mine it to understand what it says, analyze it, and then be able to present those findings to management to make decisions on for opportunities or challenges. So data is everywhere. My colleague James Stanger likes to say it's the new currency. It used to be like oil and gold. Now it's data. If a company's not mining their data and understanding what it says, they're going to get left behind, because data is really the key to running a business these days. Again, understanding what it means, where the focus should be, where the challenges may be. It can uncover a lot of opportunities for organizations that mine it correctly. And then our newest cert overall is Data Systems Plus, which is around database fundamentals and database deployment, and focusing on the logistics of data administration and security. So this is a more advanced one than Data Plus. This is the next one in the pathway. But again, data is everywhere. We're very committed to the data pathway. In fact, we have a new cert that's going to be coming out called Data X. And again, Data X, we're kind of rebranding our certs a little bit. So the Plus series is the professional series, and then the expert level will be rebranded with an X. So Plus and X for expert. And we'll have 3 certs that comprise those. So let's talk about our content as well. We have content that supports all of our certifications. We even have an assessment called ITIQ, which you can assess your IT team to see what their skills are, what their skills gaps are. But then we have a few different products. One is called CertMaster Learn, which is e-learning. It's pretty amazing, has videos, has lessons, has amazing reporting in there as well. So if you're conducting training, you can see where students are falling short, how much time they're spending on things, where they're struggling, do they need some remediation. You can do this self-paced. It can be used in the classroom. It's a great product. But I would say possibly the most important part of the learning journey is the labs, the practical application of that knowledge that you learned with CertMaster Learn. So being able to apply that, that's really the key important thing. You can learn something, but if you can't apply it, not sure if it's any good, quite honestly. So the labs are extremely important to any learning journey. We have a product called CertMaster Practice, which is great test prep to make sure that you're ready to take the exam. It uncovers any areas in which you haven't mastered, areas you need a little bit more work on. That's really important as well. You want to be as confident as possible before you take that exam. And that's what CertMaster Practice is all about. And then that will lead hopefully to certification. So that's a little bit of our, just a really quick overview of our product journey. So again, just on our content now, we're really expanding this. So if you look kind of in the middle, the A+, Network Plus, Security Plus, those are all our job-ready certifications. These are our professional level certifications. We're expanding, if you look to the left, more of our kind of level 1 certifications. So things like essentials, like AI essentials, business essentials, coding essentials, these are short courses that are more like 5-6 hours that are really good for almost anyone in any job. These are things that most anyone could benefit from, no matter if you're working in IT or not. So we envision the essentials line is expanding greatly over the next several years with all types of different essentials type courseware. And then we're also created what we call the little A+ series. And these provide a little bit more direct path to certain specific tech jobs, whether it be like cybersecurity or networking. These can provide a little bit quicker pathway to a specific job rather than going through, like, say, A+, Network Plus, and Security Plus. If you have the proper prerequisites and skills, you can have a faster path to these certifications. So everything in red that you see is stuff that we're planning on launching in 2025. That's our goal. It's pretty ambitious, but we hope to launch all those in 2025. AI also, if you look kind of towards the center right, that is something that we are envisioning rolling out in much more detail in terms of other certifications that focus specifically on AI, whether it's data or security or coding. There's a lot of AI that we're working on. So that's a lot to figure out. We have a lot going on. Our products team is very hard at work these days, rolling out all this new content and certifications. But just kind of want to show you how we're adapting to expanding our content, because it's more than just the professional level. I talked before about all the digital skills that are needed that HR professionals are looking for. And so we're hoping to fill in the gap with a lot of those with more of these level one types of certs. So I want to spend the rest of the time talking about our new Career Explorer site. Let me stop sharing this and let me jump to another website. And that is here. So we talked before about the confidence gap and how there's a lot of people that are simply not even interested in looking at tech careers because they think it's not for them for various reasons. And so the confidence gap is a real thing that we're trying to overcome. And we're trying to take a really smart approach into doing that. And we felt like if we could educate people on what tech jobs are and tech adjacent jobs as well, and show people that are doing them and really hear firsthand from their experiences, that might help them to overcome that confidence gap and take the leap to think about a tech career. So we spent a lot of time working on this Career Explorer site. And this is a free site. This is something you can use and share, and we hope that you do, and we'd love your feedback on it as well. And this is version 1. We think it's a really good polished version, but we're always happy to hear feedback on it, and there's going to be more functionality to come as well. But the first thing you would do is you would say get started, and you would take a quick quiz that just asks a few basic questions. We designed this quiz intentionally to be really short, just a few questions, just to get an initial feedback on kind of who you are as a person and what you're looking for. So first is you just answer probably your top 3 of the following that match your work strengths and work style preferences. I'll say I'm an organizer, I'm a thinker, and I'm a connector. And you can reorganize these. Like let's say I'm a connector first and foremost, which I kind of am, I guess. Next, what do you do currently? I'm just going to say I'm a retail. I'll say I'm a retail salesperson. And then third question and final question is, what are your top 3 priorities? Well, I'm going to say advancement, stability, and the ability to work remote. I'm going to say advancement because I figure I didn't say anything about salary because I figure if you advance, then the salary will come, right? So I figure that kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone. So next, then it's going to spit out an initial, this isn't the end all be all, but just an initial type of recommendations as far as what some different roles. And again, these could be tech or tech adjacent type jobs. And you can look at these roles and explore them a little bit further. I'm not going to dive into each one of these, but I'm going to shift over more to those jobs in just a second. But the first step is doing the quiz. You don't have to do it. And again, you don't have to go by the recommendations, but it's just designed to kind of steer you in what potentially may be a good direction. I think the secret sauce with this is the personal stories. We've been spending the last year plus interviewing people of all walks of life with different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different diversity. It's really great people, really interesting people telling about their pathway to their tech career, what they do on a day-to-day basis in their particular job, maybe what fears they overcame, what they enjoy about their job, what was the pathway to getting there like. These are just all really great stories. Some of these people came from like food service or retail. I mean, just about anything. There's a great variety. I think maybe we'll dive into just showing you just a quick snippet of maybe one of these. Hopefully you can hear this. I guess ping me in the chat if you can't. But just play about a minute of this so you can get a feel for what this is like. Mm. Dude, it sounds like the audio is not working. I'm not sure why. I guess I have to check the settings. But anyway, trust me, if you explore some of these folks' stories, they're really compelling and inspiring. And again, I think this is kind of the secret sauce. I think you can throw all kinds of data and statistics at people, but unless they hear directly from someone who might look like them or have a similar background to them, I don't think it really hits as hard as when you see that and can relate to that. And so that's what you'll find in these different interviews. I think you'll find that they're really well done. We had a great team that worked on that. Within there, you can see like kind of pathways to various these specific jobs that these folks are doing. You can see the job postings of this particular job. You can see that the salary versus benchmark jobs is much higher. The job growth is much higher for a data and data mining analyst. We have different tags there, which you kind of know, which I'll show you how those work in just a second. But anyway, I just think they're really heartwarming. They're all really good people with great backgrounds. I hope you'll take some time to explore a few of those. Speaking of explore, if you want to jump into all the different careers, and again, these are tech and tech adjacent jobs. I think we have like 90 plus of these, maybe 100, all types of different jobs you can explore. You can also go a little bit more into the weeds in a specific job family or a specific tag around like a certain certification that they may have, or do they have multimedia experience, or whatever, by different certs and things like that. So the nice thing is you can jump into any of these and view a little bit more detail. So for this one, computer support specialist, the number of jobs that are out there. Again, the salary is higher than benchmark. The job growth is higher than benchmark. And you can see where the hiring is. You can click on some of these states and get more detail. And then you can start to explore the earnings potential. So 28% higher than median national earnings. So this is an entry-level tech job. That's still really good. That's still really good money. You can see related job roles as well to this if you want to scan a little bit more. You can see the job outlook. So over the next, say, 4 years, you can see that we anticipate good growth in that. And if you look at the employer hiring, the types of employers that are hiring for these types of jobs, even religious organizations, civic organizations, you can see the different types that are hiring. You can see the requirements and qualifications. Do they need a 4-year degree? Do they need advanced digital skills, or even just basic digital skills? What types of credentials are relevant to these particular types of jobs? And then, is this a job you can work in remotely or hybrid or neither? What's the turnover like in this job? Of course, we know, as I mentioned before, there's quite a bit of turnover in IT support because it's a great stepping stone for moving into other tech jobs. This is an entry level type job, so there's always going to be lots of turnover in that. But at least you know that going in. And again, more related job roles related to this, related videos, other people that may have similar stories to this type of role. So it's really good stuff. From there, you can then go to the Next Steps Toolkit. There's actually an opportunity to win some free career coaching. I was talking about the confidence gap earlier. There's a few kind of tips on how to overcome some of those gaps in confidence, whether it's around like, oh, can I work in tech without going back to school? Or what if I fail? And then you can start going by exploring career paths specifically. So we've put a few of the core ones here. Let's do like network specialist. You can click on learn more, and you can see salary ranges ranging from beginner to intermediate to advanced. At each level, you can see the different job titles involved there, the required skills at this level, and then a pathway that you might take for not just CompTIA certifications, but also other industry certifications or partner certifications out there. Again, we're incredible for the foundation, especially. And as you make your way through your career, you may want to get more detailed for a specific product like Microsoft or Cisco or AWS. But we provide that great foundation that you would expect to get along the way. So this kind of helps provide a nice visual as far as what more detail around what that pathway might look like, salary ranges and things like that. And then speaking of salary, I want to show one other. So anyway, that's our Explorer tool. We just launched that about a couple of months ago. Really proud of it. Would love for you to take a look at it. I'm going to send you the link to that. I'm gonna post all this stuff in the chat here in just a second, and also provide you a link to an even bigger, expansive book that has lots of other great free resources. But one other I want to share real fast is our salary calculator. Again, this is a free tool, just a little bit, just really simple to use. let's say I'm interested in being a cybersecurity specialist, um, and I live in, say, Florida, but I'm interested to move to the DC area. And you can get a feel for what are the salary bands for this particular job, ranging from early career to mid career to advanced career. So obviously some really good money advanced, but really good money just jumping in as well for early career. And this may help in salary negotiations as well. Like if you're interviewing in a particular area and they're offering you 65,000, well, that's kind of on the low ball side because the median salaries and entry level jobs for this are 82,000. So this can help you in your job search if you're looking to change jobs and give you a feel for, gosh, if I move to Georgia, what would this look like? Is there much variance? I mean, in fact, there is. There's the salaries are less in Georgia, so you have to factor that in if you're going to move, to, let's say, Atlanta, and that might bump it up because it's Atlanta. A little bit maybe. So anyway, that's our salary calculator. I want to make sure I showed you that one as well. There are a bunch of other tools. I'm going to put in the chat box a link to this digital flipping book. So this has a nice summary of who we are, what we do, but also our career pathways that I went over, some more details on our certs, our content offerings. But on pages 12 through 14, you have links to all this great free stuff. So our research, our tech jobs report, our salary calculator, the Explorer tool. There's a tech job posting optimizer for companies to use to post more accurate job postings. Our free programs for girls like Tech Girls or CompTIA Spark for middle school. We have a lot of great free resources. So I'm going to be posting this link in here. Let me do that now before I forget, because you have links to all the stuff that I just showed you. So before I forget, let me put in that. So again, within their pages 12 through 14, you can utilize all that stuff I just basically showed you. So if you bookmark that, then you always have the most up-to-date information from me because it's digital. It's like an online flipping book, and so you always have the most up-to-date information when we change it. So that is the presentation. I wanted to answer any questions that might be out there. Let's see. Here's one. Is it necessary to get the Network Plus before cybersecurity? I would say, I just posted oh, I'm sorry. Hold on one second. Let me post to everyone. Thank you, Samuel, for that. Here is the link. I accidentally posted to just the host and the panelists, which is me. So there's the link. So question from Lori, is it necessary to get the Network Plus before cybersecurity? And I would say that depends. If you already have experience in networking that basically covers the objectives of Network Plus, don't worry about it. You don't need Network Plus. You could go straight to, say, Security Plus. If you don't have that experience, then yes, I would strongly recommend getting Network Plus because, again, A Plus is kind of learning about the software and hardware. Networks is about the network, and then cybersecurity is Security Plus is about securing all those things you just learned about networking and the devices and the software. So it depends on your experience. I know that's a little bit of a cop out, but it does depend on your experience. If you look at the Network Plus objectives and you're like, okay, I can do all that stuff. I already know how to do all that stuff. Sure, jump that and go right to, say, Security Plus. If not, I would definitely focus on Network Plus. So hope that helps. Oh, and sorry, now I see your next question that you saw the answer to your question. Okay, good. There was a question. Do you have any advice for avoiding scams when transitioning careers? There seems to be a lot of repeated job postings on places like LinkedIn or people reaching out via email. That's a great question. I really haven't heard about this a ton, but I guess what you're saying is there's some scam postings that aren't from actual companies, possibly. Um, I'm not sure what to say on that except do your research on the companies. Um, I'm not saying, yeah, I mean, obviously somebody else has experienced this as well. So that's interesting. live repeated job postings on places like LinkedIn or people reaching out via email? Um, that's a great question. I guess I would go maybe straight to the company. Like I know CompTIA has on our site a posting on like what are our open jobs, and it's always up to date. What are our latest job postings? I would see if the company that you're looking to connect with is posting that job, or the company you're hearing from is posting that job on their site. Maybe go directly to the site and see if they also have a similar, wanted, these are the jobs that we're interviewing for, and maybe see if those are there. That would be my best suggestion. Sorry, um, I don't have probably a better answer than that right now. Um, Raphael, if you want to reach out to me directly, I'll make sure to send you the link via that way. I'm not sure why you're not able to. Is anyone else having a hard time opening the flipping book link? Just a couple of people let me know if you're able to open it. Okay, good. Um, good. Okay, awesome. So yeah, so Raphael, just reach out to me with my email and I'll be sure to send it to you that way. Um, let's see. How likely is it that a newcomer can go from getting certified to getting hired despite not having experience? I would say it's pretty likely. I mean, it depends on the certification, of course. If it's an industry recognized certification, that's a big caveat there. It's got to be something that's recognized, like ours, or a Cisco or what have you. Um, what we're trying to educate, experience definitely does help, but it's not necessarily um, absolutely needed. We're trying to educate many of the companies that they don't necessarily have to have experience. If they've got the certification, that counts for a lot. And then, you work with them on the experience part. But they're coming in with a lot of that knowledge and skills, but some of it may be up to the company to help them on. But we really push, getting, of course, like apprenticeships and internships and any type of experience that you can is absolutely going to help. You're certainly going to be in a better situation. But I know of a lot of people that have gotten hired, simply with like the A+ certification. Um, Lots of people, have that opportunity for sure. So I can't say, absolutely positively you're going to get hired. It's obviously going to depend on the company itself. The experience is absolutely always welcome, but in many cases, the certification there's a lot of I hate to say desperation, but there's so much demand for IT workers right now that many people are in a way lowering their standards of what they're looking for because they need the people. Um, let's see here. Um, I'll just post a link again and just to make sure you have it. Are there pre-tests that determine exactly where we should start? I know you spoke about the career explorations quiz, but assuming I already know which path I want to take, and I know a bit about tech, but I'm not completely sure I know enough to go into a particular program. Um, well, the Explorer tool is decent. I would say that's the Tech Plus, or the what used to be called IT Fundamentals. The Tech Plus is a good certification. If you look at the objectives of that, if you at least know a lot of that stuff, then I think you're in pretty good shape to start down, the job ready cert path. In other words, if you find that you're in pretty good shape with a lot of the stuff Tech Plus is covering, or IT fundamentals, then you're probably in a good position to jumping into A plus, for example, and going from there. If you have like really very little tech experience at all, I would recommend Tech Plus first. It just gives you a nice, again, overview before you jump to A plus. I hope that helps some. But the explorations quiz helps some, and then listening to some of the different interviews about the experience that they had and their pathways and stuff, that might help you as well too. But please reach out to me too. I'm happy to try to discuss this further with you for sure. There may be something I'm forgetting, but feel free to reach out to me as well. That's a good question. Um, What is the salary range for working at a major defense contractor with a 4-year degree, a CompTIA Security Plus, and a government security clearance? Um, that's a good question. We have another site called cyberseek.org, and this is a free site as well. And within there, there's a pathway, and there's a pathway section of it, and you can click on some of those different jobs, and you can dig into this a lot more into cyberseek. And again, feel free to reach out to me separately if you're not finding what you need there. But cyberseek has a lot of great information on pathways, where the hiring's taking place. You can click on specific states and see the demand um, for jobs specifically to cybersecurity. You can see the types of skills needed, the certs that they're looking for. Um, but there's a good question. If you reach out to me, I can try and do some more digging too, but definitely look at cyberseek.org. I hope that helps. Are there scholarships if people cannot afford the certifications? We don't offer scholarships per se, but there are a lot of great organizations out there. Perscolis is one for sure. Um, there are a bunch of organizations out there that are doing like free, like say A+ training or free IT training. Um, there probably are some scholarships out there. I don't know any off the top of my head, but there are some groups out there that work, especially with like underserved populations and people that are in desperate need to find a better life, and better skills. So, like Perscolis is one of those that does that. There are probably some other organizations out there that do that. I'm just blanking a little bit off the top of my head. In Power, I think, um, is one. There's there's several out there that do some work with folks that are, underserved and don't haven't had the best luck in life, to put it mildly. So I don't know if that helps at all, but you may want to look at that. There may be some we don't offer the scholarships typically. Most of our giving is done in the form of giving some money to various charitable organizations that are doing great work. We do that like once a year. We pick a few organizations to do that. Any other questions? Was this helpful? I know I've flew through a lot of information. I hope this was somewhat helpful. Yeah, the Urban League. That's a good point. Thank you, Eugenia, for bringing that up. Um, this is being recorded, so Dennis is recording this. So I assume he will get this to you, get the recording to you after he has it. He's recording it in the cloud right now. I can see it on the screen. It's being recorded. So Dennis will be able to get it to you when this is done. But again, feel free to reach out to me. You can follow me on LinkedIn. I'm just going to type in my email again. Feel free to reach out. I'm happy to try to dig into some of these questions a little bit further if I can. Almost at time. But any other questions? I hope this was helpful. I know it's a lot of information. We do a lot of stuff, but again, happy if you want to reach out to me one-on-one. I'm happy to answer any questions, dig into some of the stuff a little bit more. Thank you, Brianna. Yeah, I hope you will use it. It's a great tool. We put a lot of time into it. We would love to hear your feedback on it. If there's anything you think that's missing, please let us know. This is, one of the things that we try to do is create a lot of great free tools that you guys can use to educate people, educate yourself on the opportunities in tech careers. So thank you all very, very much. Again, I hope you have a fantastic July 4th and maybe some extra time, extended weekend, I hope for you. And hopefully I'll talk to you guys again soon. Next time we have some more great new resources to share. So thank you so much, everyone.